You've been told your entire lifting life that skipping meals is suicide for your muscles. The forums, the Instagram gurus, the meal prep companies, they all say the same thing. Eat every 2 to 3 hours, or your body starts cannibalizing muscle. So you eat and eat and eat 6 times a day. Protein shake at 10, chicken and rice at noon. Another shake at 3. Your stomach is never empty. Your insulin is never low. Your digestive system is grinding 24/7 like a factory that never shuts down. And despite all that food, despite hitting your macros perfectly, you still can't get rid of that last layer, that softness around your waist, that puffy look in your face. You're eating for muscle, but you look like you're just inflated. Where's the density? Where's that carved, dangerous look you see on the guys who actually look like they lift? You've been lied to, and the lie runs so deep that most guys never even question it. Let me introduce you to the real problem. It's not fasting, it's constant feeding. Every time you eat, insulin spikes. And insulin isn't just there to shuttle nutrients, it's a storage hormone. It tells your body, we have abundance, build, store, expand. That sounds great, except insulin also blocks fat burning. It keeps you in permanent construction mode. Your body is always building, always storing, but it never gets the signal to clean up the mess underneath. Think of your muscles like a construction site. When you eat constantly, it's like the builders keep showing up and nailing new boards over old, rotting wood. They never stop to rip out the damaged structures. They just keep stacking new material on top of trash. Eventually, the whole thing looks big, but it's not solid. It's bloated, unstable, weak at the foundation. That's your muscles on 6 meals a day. Layer after layer of new tissue built on top of cellular junk that never got cleared out. And that junk, it's making you soft. So what happens when you finally stop eating long enough to let the real work begin? When you fast, your body moves through 4 distinct phases. Each one triggers different hormonal signals. And most guys quit during phase 1 because they don't understand that what feels like breakdown is actually preparation. Let me walk you through what's really happening inside your muscle cells, hour by hour. Your body isn't some fragile machine that panics the second you skip a meal. It's been engineered by hundreds of thousands of years of feast and famine, and evolution is ruthless. It doesn't make stupid mistakes. Imagine you're a caveman. You haven't eaten in 2 days. There's no grocery store, no protein shake. You need to hunt down an animal, or you're going to starve. Now, would evolution, the most efficient optimizer in existence, make you weaker in that exact moment? Would it break down your muscles, the very tools you need to chase, kill, and carry food, right when survival depends on them? That would be insane. That would be suicide. What evolution does is protect your muscle at all costs, because muscle is infrastructure, muscle is survival. Losing it when you need it most would be a genetic death sentence. Your ancestors who lost muscle during short fasts didn't survive. The ones who preserved it did. And their genes are your genes. So when you fast, your body doesn't destroy muscle. It does the opposite. It activates every protective mechanism it has to keep that muscle intact while burning the one fuel source you can actually afford to lose, fat. But protection is just the beginning. Something far more powerful activates when you fast. When you stop eating, your body releases growth hormone, not a small increase, a massive surge. Studies show growth hormone levels can spike by 300%, 500%, in some cases over 1,300% during extended fasting. Your pituitary gland dumps growth hormone into your system like your survival depends on it. Because evolutionarily, it does. Growth hormone is the muscle guardian. It's one of the most powerful anti-catabolic signals your body has. It tells every cell in your body, do not break down lean tissue, burn fat instead, protect the infrastructure. And your body listens. But growth hormone doesn't just protect, it actively enhances your physiology. It accelerates fat burning. It improves insulin sensitivity in muscle cells. It boosts recovery. It sharpens mental focus. This is why people report feeling more energized, more focused, more alive during a fast once they adapt. It's not willpower, it's biology. And here's the game changer. When you do eat, when you break that fast, your muscles are primed. Insulin sensitivity is through the roof. Every gram of protein, every nutrient you consume gets shuttled directly into muscle tissue with almost zero spillover into fat storage. You're not just maintaining muscle during the fast, you're creating the perfect metabolic environment to build it more efficiently when you eat. One study from the University of Virginia found that men practicing intermittent fasting showed dramatically improved androgen receptor sensitivity in muscle tissue. Translation: your muscles become more responsive to testosterone. Even if your total testosterone levels stay the same, your muscles start using it more effectively. You're getting more bang for your hormonal buck. But there's another process happening beneath the surface, one that won a Nobel Prize. Around 16 hours into a fast, your body activates something called autophagy. The word literally means self-eating. And yes, that sounds like a nightmare, but here's what's actually happening. Imagine your muscles are a workshop. Over months and years of training, damage accumulates. Proteins get misfolded and clumped together. Mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside your cells, start misfiring and producing more toxic waste than energy. Cellular debris piles up in corners that never get cleaned. When you're eating constantly, digesting constantly, your cells are in perpetual construction mode. They're too busy processing nutrients, responding to insulin, shuttling amino acids around to do any cleaning. The workshop is packed with workers. The cleaning crew can't come in. But when you fast, when that workshop finally goes quiet, the janitors show up. Autophagy is your body's recycling program. It scans every muscle cell, hunting for anything that's broken, dysfunctional, or outdated. Damaged proteins, senescent cells, mitochondria that are barely functional. Then it dismantles those parts, breaks them down into raw materials, and uses those materials to build something new, something that actually works. You're not losing muscle, you're refining it. You're replacing low-quality, damaged tissue with fresh, functional, high-performance machinery. This process is so fundamental to human health and longevity that it won the Nobel Prize in Physiology in 2016. Scientists realized that autophagy is one of the primary mechanisms that determines how fast you age, how well your cells function, and how long you stay healthy. And fasting is the most reliable trigger we have for autophagy. You can't supplement your way into it. You can't biohack it with a pill. The only way to activate this cellular renovation is to stop eating long enough to let it happen. Here's the beautiful irony. The moment you feel like you're starving yourself, like you're doing damage, that's when your body is performing the deepest repair work it's done in years. You're not destroying muscle, you're upgrading it. You're thinking, okay, the science sounds good, but I've seen guys who fast and they look skinny. What about them? Fair question. Here's the truth. You can lose muscle while fasting, but only if you stack multiple catastrophic mistakes on top of each other. Muscle loss happens when you combine extended fasting with extreme calorie deficits, inadequate protein when you do eat, zero resistance training, chronic stress, and poor sleep. Stack all of those together, and yes, you'll lose muscle. But that's not fasting's fault. That's neglect. Here's what the actual research shows. When you're doing intermittent fasting correctly, when protein intake is adequate, when you're training with resistance, when you're not in a massive calorie deficit, muscle is preserved just as well as eating 6 meals a day. In many cases, it's preserved better because of the growth hormone and insulin sensitivity advantages. A study published in the Journal of Translational Medicine took resistance-trained men and put them on 16 to 8 intermittent fasting for 8 weeks. These were guys who lifted regularly. They tracked body composition with DEXA scans, the gold standard. The results: fat mass dropped by 16.4%. Lean muscle mass, no change, zero loss. Strength maintained or even improved in some lifts. Another study looked at alternate day fasting, which is far more extreme. People were eating every other day. Even in that scenario, when they measured weight loss, 80% of what they lost was fat, not muscle. And these were people doing no resistance training at all. Your body is smarter than you think. It doesn't just throw away expensive tissue the moment you skip breakfast. Muscle is metabolically costly to build and maintain. From a survival perspective, it's infrastructure. Your body guards it. So if muscle is protected, what actually changes? Here's what happens when you give fasting time to work. That soft, puffy look you've been carrying starts to vanish, not because you're losing muscle, because you're losing the water retention, the inflammation, and the glycogen bloat that's been obscuring the muscle underneath. When your body burns through its glycogen stores, it releases the water that was bound to those carbohydrates. 3 grams of water for every gram of glycogen. That's why people think they're deflating in the first week. But what's revealed underneath? Harder, denser, more defined muscle, the kind that looks carved, not inflated. Your face leans out. Your jawline emerges. Your waist tightens. Veins start showing up in your arms and shoulders that were never visible before, not because you built new muscle, because you finally stripped away the layer that was hiding what you already had, and the strength, it doesn't drop. In fact, many guys report hitting personal records during fasted training once they adapt. Why? Because growth hormone is elevated, because mental clarity is sharper, because you're running on ketones, a cleaner burning fuel that doesn't cause the blood sugar crashes you get from carbs. There's a quality to fasted muscle that's hard to describe until you see it. It's not about size, it's about density. It's the difference between a muscle that's pumped full of water and glycogen versus one that's been refined down to pure contractile tissue. One looks big, the other looks dangerous, but the benefits go beyond just how you look. Here's what most people miss. Fasting doesn't just change your body composition, it changes how your body responds to food. When you eat constantly, your insulin receptors get numb. They stop listening. It's like living next to a train track. After a while, you don't even hear the trains anymore. Your cells become insulin resistant. Nutrients don't get absorbed efficiently. Protein doesn't build muscle as effectively. Carbs spill over into fat storage instead of fueling performance. But fasting resets that system. It resensitizes your insulin receptors. When you do eat, your muscles become sponges. They soak up nutrients with incredible efficiency. Protein synthesis skyrockets. Glycogen replenishment is faster. You build more muscle from the same amount of food. This is why bodybuilders in the 1960s and 70s, guys like Serge Nubret and Frank Zane, used to fast before competitions, not to lose muscle, to make their muscles more responsive to the food they ate afterward. They understood something that modern fitness has forgotten. Sometimes less is more. And there's another advantage: mental clarity. When you're not constantly digesting food, when your gut is quiet, your brain gets first-class access to blood flow and oxygen. You think faster, you focus harder. That brain fog you feel after a big meal, that's your body diverting resources to digestion. Fasting eliminates that. Now picture yourself 10 years from now. Most guys are on a slow, inevitable march towards soft and declining. They're eating 6 times a day and getting softer every year. Their muscle definition disappears under a layer of fat they can't control. They're on medications for blood pressure, for cholesterol, for blood sugar. They look and feel older than they are. But you've mastered metabolic flexibility. Your body can switch between fuel sources seamlessly. You can burn fat effortlessly. Your growth hormone profile looks like someone half your age. Your muscles stay dense and hard because you've been activating autophagy regularly, clearing out the junk, keeping the machinery clean. You're not dependent on eating every few hours to function. You're not a slave to the clock or the meal schedule. You eat when it serves you, and your body rewards you for it by staying lean, strong, and resilient, decades longer than your peers. That's not deprivation. That's freedom. That's sovereignty over your own biology. The call. So here's what happens next. If this flips something in your brain, if you realize you've been approaching this backwards, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who's terrified of skipping breakfast because they think their gains will evaporate. Drop a comment. Tell me, what's the longest you've ever fasted? And if you've never tried it, What's holding you back? You didn't click this video to stay the same. You clicked it because you're ready to evolve. So let's get to work.